really curious, am I, about the industry at large with the pandemic that we're just going through. We know that rounds are spiking in most places, that demand is high. It's even hard to get a tee time in some different golf courses. How does that translate at large with the game of golf? Tom Stein, who's been with us many times, absolute expert, a fascinating background in his own right, from media side to now chronicling what happens to the nth degree on the business side of the game. He's a partner of Golf Datatech. Tom, how are you? How have you been?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. Have you gotten through all this okay so far, you and the family?
Yes, thankfully, very thankfully so. We've paid attention, done what we're supposed to do. We literally stayed locked up for several weeks in the house and didn't venture out, and then did so carefully and so forth. And we think that's the wise thing. We hope everybody does, and we wish we wish some that we see not following the guidelines would, but so far so good.
Yeah, from your lips, isn't that the truth? No doubt about that. Now, when you said that you stayed locked up in the house, as we all did, but once we were able to break free, golf seems to be surging. Is that impression accurate? Is there, in fact, a surge in golf, and how deep does it go?
Well, yes, golf is surging as compared to other quote recreational sports, because it is outside, because it does not require close proximity. It it is somewhat designed for a pandemic like this to be able to still stay involved with it. And many states recognized that from the beginning and allowed golf courses to stay open. And courses or states that force golf courses to close, many of them recognized it early on to allow them to be the first to open up, as opposed to other sports where that's just not possible, where it is confined, a la bowling, or it comes to mind, where it's indoors and you're right next to people, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, golf has weathered the storm pretty darn well, but it has been hurt by it, no doubt about it, because, as we said, for the first few weeks, we didn't go anywhere and do anything. And so that cut into rounds played, that cut into spending on golf equipment, and that has somewhat carried over. It continues to carry over, but not entirely. And golf is rebounding in terms of sales. With rounds played, if there's a tee time today at noon and no one tees off at noon, that time is gone forever, and so are the revenue from that round is gone forever. But you can still buy golf balls. You can still buy a new golf shirt, a new pair of shoes, whatever. And so commerce has been going on, even though golf hasn't been played in many instances.
Interesting. So to that regard, Tom Stein, partner of Golf Datatech, what is the product that's being bought in that instance? You'd mentioned golf balls and shirts and maybe a pair of shoes. Were you being accurate in terms of what they're buying? I assume it's all being done online, or was?
It was. The online business certainly has spiked. Certainly has become the channel of choice, if you will. But in recent times, over the last month or so, we have seen an increase in club sales and online sales. Off course is just now opening up, but custom club fitting has become an even more popular choice. This was a category that has been growing anyhow, naturally, when everything was opened up before the pandemic. But during research that we have done during this pandemic, and we have been doing this actually on a weekly basis to our database of serious golfers for the last 15 straight weeks. And they have told us that one of the areas where they're most comfortable in looking for equipment is through custom fitting. Because custom fitting tends to be one-on-one. You can stay distanced from the fitter. You're hitting to a screen. You're indoors.
You get the mask and everything. Yep.
You can wear a mask while you do it. You can, you see the clubs that you're testing being wiped down before you use them, after you use them, and so that's become a safe place to buy new equipment.
Fascinating. All right, here's something I'm incredibly interested in. I'm not sure how many of our listeners realize, but when you're developing heads and the heads are coming from the casting house and they're coming in from overseas, and your lead time is a minimum of 90 days for raw materials. Then you build it, then you ship it. So you have all these companies that would have brought in their inventory, been ready to hit the ground running on April 1, and on the middle of March, the world stops spinning. What are you hearing in terms of the backlog of product that has to be filling these pipelines? How long will it take to clear it? And what impact do you think, Tom Stein, that will have in the introduction of new product at the end of this year?
It will vary, but in what you just described, that quote pipeline, it doesn't get entirely filled. They may a company may develop their new club, and they're prepared to order 100 of them, just using obviously a fictitious number, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're gonna order 100 of them from the foundry, the factory somewhere in China, wherever it might be, but they only get 20 of those that come in at the beginning of the season. They make 20 of the 100 first and get those on a boat and get them over here so that they're ready for shortly after the PGA Merchandise Show, right, in January. And their company reps are out selling those actually in October, November, December prior to that. So those 20 come in and they're sold, and then there's 20 more or 30 more coming behind that. But not all 80 come. They come in stages. And
so you think maybe they could, yeah, okay, I got you.
So they could have the ones, way back when, and it's now been 4 months, could have said, let's put the brakes on a little bit on the orders coming in. Some did and some didn't. Some will have bigger problems with inventory backup than others. The golf ball business right now, they're trying to make golf balls as fast as they can because there's a lot of play, and they didn't have the inventory. A bunch of those factories had to stop. They lost their workers. Their workers, wherever they were throughout the world, were also quarantined at home, right? They weren't working, so they weren't making clubs. They weren't making golf balls, and the inventory that they would have been shipping over here didn't get shipped. So it isn't the backup as much as you might think. I'm not saying, in all cases, but the market has time to catch up. Will they catch up totally? I'm not going there. I can't. I couldn't predict that. I wouldn't predict that, and you'd be foolish to try to say that, by the end of the year we will have caught up. but they're going to catch up some.
It's an interesting thought then. If someone is considering buying a major investment in equipment, driver or irons or what have you, do you think now is the time to do it, or are they better off waiting a few months and seeing if there's some sales that start to kick up to clear inventory?
There's always sales. There's, that's go ahead and wait, but in the meantime, you and I are going to have played 5 or 6, 7 or 8 rounds together, and I'm going to beat your brains out because I got a new driver and you don't, because you're waiting to save $50 off
$50, yeah.
Right? That's fine.
That's a good point.
I've won more than that from you during that time span. So
how worried are you, Tom Stein, from Golf Datatech? How worried are you about companies that just aren't going to be able to make it? It just hit them at the wrong time, and there's going to be a washout in the industry.
I worry about them because they're good people and they work hard and they have done a good job, and their company has been growing as it's struggled and so forth. And some are going to make it and some aren't. But some are and some aren't. And I hope that we don't lose any of them, but all of us know, wherever they're listening to us right now, about businesses in their hometown that are not going to survive this pandemic, and through no fault of their own, of these restaurants and stores and retailers and so forth. And that's probably going to happen to some of these golf companies, but I don't. The market is not going away. People are not stopping to play golf. As we said, the golf courses are loaded, and so far, it would seem that we're making that turn.
Man, I do hope that is the case. I actually look forward to talking to you again, Tom, a few months down the road and seeing what data comes through with this rebound, hopefully, and the recovery and what it means as we head to January in 2021 as well. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's fascinating to get on the inside of the industry like this.
You're welcome, Matt. Anytime at all. I enjoyed talking to you.